So that so this guy announced that there was going to be a lot of people going out to celebrate St George's Day, and they were just going out purely for enjoyment. Not a protest, just purely leisure. And loads of police turned up, just blocking the road off and caused loads of trouble. Rishi Sunak. It's almost like, like when Trump was president of the United States of America, and it's like, Trump's a well-known business figure, corporate business figure. What's he doing as a president? It really kind of highlighted the whole enterprise, corporate, kind of global takeover in a way. But with Sunak, Sunak's definitely not Trump, but they're both pro-business, extremely pro-business, pro-corporate, pro-elite, both of them. Even if they might be at separate ends of the spectrum of that side, they're most definitely not on the opposite side. I've started to suss out this whole position of the elite now. I put this playlist together here, right? I've decided to call it Rishi Sunak, How to Manufacture Criminals. Well, you don't have any criminals if you don't have any laws. Criminals don't exist till you have laws. So in order to make criminals, you first need to make laws, or you can't have any criminals. And then once you've made the laws, then all you need to do is either start charging people for them or start getting them to cause trouble. If they won't cause any trouble, you've got to make them cause trouble. So this is the guy at the bottom of the screen there. That's the guy who said they were going to basically just...
Quick update on the 23rd of April, St George football lads are doing. There's going to be a demonstration or a celebration at 3 o'clock.
Oh, a celebration. No, it's a demonstration. No, it's going to be a celebration, he said. He confirmed not a demonstration, but a celebration.
Hi, guys, and welcome to the channel.
We're all just basically celebrating St George's Day, and then you get to the end of the road, and there's like a lot of police vans parked across it, blocking them. And we're just literally going to this square where they're just going to celebrate. So they have to climb over this wall at the side here. There's like you can see the wall there on the left hand side. It's just kind of like almost like it's kind of like you got them concrete barriers in the middle of the motorway, but it's like a pavement version down the pavement on the left hand side there. So they all start climbing over that and trying to go down the pavement side here, and I think they blocked them there as well. So then people kicking off. The thing with the police is this, right? It's that reading the history of England and finding out how it all started, mainly from, the current format comes from, the conquest in 1066. And it's all to do with a franchise, basically. It's all to do with the French, because, the Normans, the French, have a new rulership, a new franchise, and then all these charters they're giving, and they let us keep our legal system in the counties, in the hundreds, and we end up being governed by our own peers, and we get to vote for our own judges and sheriffs and so forth, but it's all under the royal franchise, the governance of the country from, London. And they're setting out the laws and giving the laws for the charters, and then they've got the royal justices, the assizes, going round the country for serious crimes, but they let the hundreds look after themselves. Now, the thing is, this Magna Carta, to reassert this right for the judgment of the peers in local affairs and matters, even law and order amongst local people. The thing is, we got to vote for like sheriffs and constables, right? Obviously, they choose. They had like a couple of sort of helpers or whatever stuff you want to call them, but really they had this hue and cry where it was if there was anyone committing a crime and someone reported it, right, the village had to go and find or apprehend the criminals, right, or they could get punished or prosecuted. But then they were meant to serve justice at the local 100, which is, amongst your peers. But these people are supposed to be elected. The thing, what happens after... They're definitely using that hue and cry still all the way through 1700s, regardless of what other military mariners or different models of guards and formats, and you've got, you start having those Bow Street runners. But the formation of the Met Police and then the burning down of Parliament, which actually was Sir Robert Peel, actually, he's involved in the facts and circumstances of what Parliament burned down, setting the burning going underneath. He directed and instructed it. So, once this Met Police force is established, it started letting people could come forward and get deputised or take the oath, right? And you actually ended up, you paid money. You could pay money to get sworn in, right, on the police, or as a, officer. People could get sworn in on justices of the peace and so forth. But really, you actually, if you read the early Metropolitan Police Acts, you could actually get sworn in and hand money over, and then you could have the authority to go and uphold the law, right? Now, the thing is that when you've got, fair enough if it's the sheriff and the constable, right? Fair enough if it's, they serve the king, but they also serve the people in the 100, right? And we get to vote and elect them. So the people, right, are actually electing for the sheriff or constable, right? So it would be someone who you would want there, who you'd chosen, right? Kind of like the model for the President of the United States is meant to be. And what we've ended up with now is quite the opposite. What we ended up with now, we get to vote for the Police and Crime Commissioner, but only from a handful of candidates who come forward. We've got this, in Gloucestershire, they've got this Matthew Randolph standing now, who's meant to be going to try and change the whole system. Although really, I think a Police and Crime Commissioner now, in the eyes of the government, in the eyes of the police commissioner, inspectorate, and the whole higher system of government, is that they're there to commission, like, Police Commissioner Gordon and Batman. They're there to just sign things off, commission the equipment. Okay, we'll have some more police tasers, we'll have some more helicopters, we'll sign all this stuff off. Not actually to go into the police, and straighten them out, get out all the corruption, make sure they uphold the law, make sure they're not breaking the laws. Because the way Rishi Sunak's doing it now, and I think all prime ministers for a long time have done it, is that, they're a force and the law's there, but, we can be judged by our peers in a court. Parliament can be judged by its peers. Therefore, if they all agree they're going to do this or that to us, they'll just do it, and they won't be held to account to anyone. So, we don't have anyone really to enforce our rights when they don't have a right, or when we do have a right. And in order to enforce your rights, you need equipment, you need people. Now, when they get the police in, when you get people, when you get a lot of people, they get a lot of police, right? but you would only ever need a lot of people to enforce rights if you had a lot of police, you know. So you wouldn't need any force yourself to have to uphold or enforce your rights unless someone turned up who were going to obstruct them. You know, it's like opposing force, you know. If there's nothing in front of you, you know, you don't need to push at anything. It's almost like as soon as you lift your hand up to do something, there's, you know, someone puts their hand up to stop you. But then you don't have a right to do something, you know. It's like on the Time Bandits, you know, when they find that Castle of Darkness and there's walking to the invisible wall, you know. There's nothing there, you know. So, but you know, if there's, well, there's something there, well, yeah, there's something there when there's a lot of people who've got a political cause. But the whole point of a political cause is that you're using the political cause to achieve something political. Now, if someone's stopping you from using the rights to achieve something political, they're obstructing the cause. What I think is happening is the government themselves are not doing what the people want, right? So they use the rights that are there to enable you to act to make the government do something. And then what the government do is they send the force to stop you. And the more force you put, then the more force they put up against you. And then it just escalates. So what they're actually doing is they're creating a mountain of opposition. And the more and more opposition that you surmount against them, the more and more obstruction they're giving. Now, why don't they just do what the people want in the first place? Well, you know, this is what's happening with the 20 mile an hour petition in Wales. We don't have this yet with the Stonehenge Tunnel, or the, you know, Darwin Oak, or whatever. You know, mainly because the government are doing a lot of things wrong to do with making inconsistent legislation, contradictive legislation, incompatible legislation. I think with the government, the thing with the government is, in my opinion, is that they are doing their own thing that they want to do, and they've bought everything that they wanted to buy, and there's this thing that they're doing, right, with the world, with us, and they're all kind of in on it now. They've all bought each other out and taken over business of planet Earth. And the people are reacting to this, and what's happening now in the Parliament with Rishi Sunak's government is that they've got all this equipment, all these, you know, graphs and charts, you know, of what's happening with the public now, reacting and responding. It's almost like music, you know, when you see music on a screen and you got the blips, you know, like beep beep, and you like linked up to the, you know, machine in the hospital. And what the government are doing is they're doing a thing to us, right? And we are responding to the thing they're doing. And then certain responses are getting certain blips and, you know, spikes on these charts, right? You know, blip, you know, this is spiking high now, people are responding. So what Sunak's doing is he wants to keep it level. He wants to keep the graph chart kind of flatlined, status quo, normal. So he's doing this thing to us, and we're responding. And what he's trying to do is like, ooh, you know, there's a spike there. I'll have to turn that back down, right? To try and level it back out. Because he wants to keep us all level, right? The problem is that response, that spike, is there because the government are doing something that we don't want them to do or we don't like. So that is the response, and there are political rights there to actually enforce that response. That response is required, right? It's needed. But what Sunak's doing is he's twiddling his knobs and he's trying to reduce that spike, reduce the response, right? But when he touches that dial to do that, what he's meant to be doing in his job is doing the job of government, right? Governing to do with how the people want the country to head in and go. Instead, Sunak and his corporate entities are doing what they want to do to the government, and when we are responding with a response, which is to try and get them to do what we want the government to do, then he's actually backing us down with the dials and knobs, tweaking them down. Yet the tweak and turn of that knob is illegal, because on the knob it says all prosecutions against the Great Charters are void. Anyone who tries to repeal the Great Charters is a traitor. You are not allowed to tweak these rights or turn the dial, because effectively he doesn't want us to oppose what he's doing. He actually doesn't even want us to, no matter, even, he doesn't care how we respond, he just doesn't want us to oppose it or respond. So he's trying to, basically, when he turns that dial to lower the graph blip back down, what he's actually doing is trying to just effectively just confess. He's trying to stop the reaction. He doesn't want there to be a reaction or a strong one that is capable of stopping him from doing what he's doing, right? So all these blips, so when they're twiddling all these knobs in the government and tweaking the legislation and putting these acts through, it's actually in opposition to us, the public. It's actually going into government each day, and now what the ministers are doing for their job when we've elected them to represent us is opposing us, rather than being elected to represent us and do a job we've elected them to do to run the country. And this is the problem though. A lot of Parliament only used to be every so often, right? And then it got longer and longer and longer and then permanent. The thing is now that it's almost like a kid in a sweet shop, right? There's so many things being invented and so many new things and so many new technologies and so many new innovations that they're constantly having to make new laws. Now, fair enough. There's nothing wrong with having to make new laws, right? But there are some things that shouldn't be messed with or changed. And because of all these new things that they're bringing in quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker, they're just having to constantly readjust. But the reactions from the public are because they're changing things too quickly, right? And you're going to get these responses. When you change things too quickly and too fast, you actually don't really know what's going on, because you can't do a control blind experiment when everything's in constant flux. Because how can you measure anything when it's constantly moving? It's like the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. And what they've got us doing now is that the government are bringing so many things in, and they claim they're running AI to check it out, but even AI can't possibly take a measurement of society and of all of the humans and businesses and everything now. It can't take a measurement and say, right, we'll measure what this or that is, because everything now is in a perpetual counter motion to what they're doing and response. That it's like the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. When something's moving, right, it's harder to measure its exact precise location or position, right? And I don't think they can. And the problem is, they've got these fantasies, these ideas, these Department of Innovation and Technology, and, they've got this future vision or fantasy that a lot of them are sworn into and subscribed to now in the elite. And they want to do that, but that isn't what necessarily everyone else wants. And they're doing it so quick. Humans like, this is the thing like with a rabbit. If you put a rabbit in a room and you move things around, they don't like it. Because the thing with a human is you need to know what you're standing on and where you are. It's like being in a ghost. If you go into a fairground, right, and you go in the haunted house and the floor's all wonky or the crazy golf, it's like a joke. It's like a joke house, You know, like the stairs turn into an escalator, or you know the floor's slanted or whatever. And what Sunak's doing now is changing things, and it's like trying to live with a moving floor or going out on a ship at sea. There's some people get seasick because it's moving around all the time, right? We evolve on a stable platform, right, on a stable floor. And he wants to even mess it up now even further by going into genetic engineering and part android, part human. You know, but then he's scratching his head going, oh, how can we solve this crime? Why are these people behaving funny? You know, we need to get psychologists in. We'll sort this out. You know, we'll figure it out. There's Robert F. Kennedy Jr. going like, oh, you know, why are people walking into schools and shooting everyone? You know, they used to have rifles, you know, 20 years ago, and there weren't any shootings. You know, everyone had rifles, and there wasn't all this weird shootings. Why are they doing it? Is it computer games? You know, is it SSRIs? What is it? You know, and then the Zuckerbergs wanting to get everyone into the metaverse, you know, and get the blind goggles on and get them into, God knows what that's going to go to people's brains, you know. They're doing too much and they won't accept it. And it is like a painting. The thing with mankind is that if you anyone who paints a painting, a professional painter, when they've painted a beautiful painting, then you stop. If you continue putting paint on it, it goes fucked, right? You've spoiled it. You've spoiled it. Now, true, we're growing. This is growth, right? But that's the whole basis of cancers, you know. Malgrowth, bad growth, you know. It's better to have, you know, it's better to have low growth, right, or no growth than bad growth or malgrowth. But the thing is, they can't stop. And they're obsessed with this technology until they've got a fucking landfill full of CDs and C90 cassettes. And, you know, Zuckerberg, you know, wants the fucking hollow fucking glasses or whatever, which will end up on there, because when Elon Musk's finished with us, we won't even have these mobile phones. Once he's implanted the fucking microchip in your head so you can just Bluetooth it into HoloVision, which you don't have to have a screen, he can just click his fingers and then you'll be on Mars. Like, he'll just be a signal and you can click it. So, you know, but they want, the funniest thing is, if they could go any faster, they would. These people aren't just tripping up over themselves. If Sunak could go faster towards that, he would. Even like fucking Usain Bolt. That's what scares me. If Rishi Sunak could run around the planet like fucking Superman, flying around it to turn time back, if Sunak could get quicker to that thing that he wants, the ultimate device, the Department of Innovation and Technology, if he could fly around the planet like Superman, he would. But the thing what he needs to do to solve the problem is to stop, because he's trying to measure something with a ruler, right? When he's like on a fucking ship in a storm, and he ain't gonna fucking measure nothing when everything's fucking moving. You need to stop it, so he ain't gonna get a measurement from it, and that's what the mess is. And now, you know, everything is getting into a mess. The problem with the police is this: we used to elect people. Now you elect a councillor, you elect an MP to represent you, and we elected police. Now, the ironic thing is, when you elect a councillor or an MP, they are now a member of a political party. Now, the thing is, we're getting to elect the police and crime commissioner. You in America, they elect a lot more people, which they're starting to realise, you know, Stop Cop City, they're starting to realise they've been electing the wrong people. But here, we don't elect police, right? But the police now, we were the police, hue and cry. But now we're not. people are joining this force, which is it was elected, so it's the person that you want there, right? But now it is. We don't elect police chief officers. The group, the peers within the police decide who's going to be the chief officer. So that means that the police are its own peerage. The police are its own peerage, and they work out in their gang, in their little dog gang, their muscle crew, who's going to be the top dog, right? And then it's under the police inspectorate and the government, and effectively under the military, right? But at least we could have elected them. The problem is that it's under the government military, and it's a rank and file regime. Effectively, it is an army that we don't have a say in voting or electing anymore. And it is a political party because the chief and crime commissioners, except for this Matthew Randolph guy who's come forward now, the rest of them that have been coming forward are like Tory or Labour. So that means that the police is going to be Tory or Labour, which means effectively, it's like when you vote for a councillor or an MP, they're with a political party. But the Police and Crime Commissioner is with a political party now. So the police is like a political party, because that's the Police and Crime Commissioner, the Tory ones coming forward. So they are a political party, just like our MPs are political parties. That means that the political parties are policing us. We're not policing ourselves or electing. Well, we aren't electing the police chief or any of the officers, that's for sure. So only the Police and Crime Commissioner. So it effectively is it's a party political peer group of people who want to join, effectively, and they get paid for joining. So it's not us anymore. It was us with an elected kind of leader or head who was the sheriff or constable. So it was us with an elected head who served the king, but at least he was elected. And now it is its own peer group of officers who have joined, not the public, separate from the public, who fight out who's going to be the top dog. We don't elect them. And then the public have only more recently been allowed to elect a police and crime commissioner who's going to be over the top dog, but that police and crime commissioner is Tory or Labour. So he sets the whole force up, really, to be under a political party prerogative. So it's not the public anymore, and it's not elected by the public. In fact, it is political. We're being policed by the political parties. Now, if we're being policed by the political parties, that means that the police are political. Now, when we have rights, in order to keep the government in line to what we want, and then we're supposed to have rights and liberties, we can't have a police force who are on a political side under a police and crime commissioner who is a member of a political party. Because then those members of the public who are opposed to that political party, the police are opposed to them. And the rights are supposed to be there to give people police the policies. And what they're doing is they're blocking the road. And this is emphasised here. What we've got is a roadblock by a police, a political party blocking the road. And they're even blocking people going having fun on St. George's Day. So they don't even want people to have fun anymore. And, you know, it's like these factory owners and elite, they don't want people to have equal money to them. They don't want people to have equal houses, finance, but then they complain when, you know, there's crime. So, you know, I think that the idea of the franchise, and if you read all those early charters and legislation, it's the king and the king's people, right? They came and invaded, took over, became the elite. They have their own, you know, culture and laws for them, and everyone else, you know, serves them. And that's how really it's gone from there. And this is all, you know, David Cameron is literally, I think Cameron is the bastion of those people. David Cameron is got to be atop of the pedestal of that whole paradigm. You know, it's the franchise. And what they've done is everyone had skills and talents and their own business and could trade, right? Yeah. They've bought us out. They bought all the businesses off us. It's not like going over to America and buying the land off the Indians or going to Australia off the Aborigines. And then they even buy our own businesses and companies off us. They want to own everything. And then they say, oh, own everything and be happy. Well, I think these people would have been happy if they could have gone to, you know, down into the square in London. But they blocked it, you know. And all the products have been making us this kind of like facade of happiness, this short-term happiness, this kind of, you know, eat a donut happiness, or, you know, suck on a milkshake happiness, or go watch, you know, O2 Arena happiness, or the distractions while they are, all they've done through these distractions is buy up more, take over more and more, take control. Once they've set up their franchise, and then once they've, you know, bought out every other independent, you know, taken over every other artisan or company or business, now they're on with, you know, all these, now they own all the companies and businesses. What they've got us doing, spending our day doing, it is they've set up the whole food industry. They've set up the whole engineering. They've set it all up, and then they've got us going around the Scalextric set exactly as they wanted it set up. You know, oh, this is our way of doing things. And now the next step is they're bringing in loads of ridiculous new laws. But there shouldn't be any crime. So now there's loads of new. They're bringing more crime. They're importing crime, basically because they want to have an excuse to have more laws and more control. They couldn't have. They've got more. They couldn't have more control now. They've got, you know, more control than they could ever dreamed of. But the problem is that they want more control than that. Because you wouldn't need police, you know? Why do you even need police? Because we could police ourselves. We don't actually need any police, you know? We've got mobile phones. There was no mobile phones. You know, you couldn't be more safe. You know, people were armed. People were out in the wilds. You could not be more safe with more communication in the history of mankind. But for some reason, they've got this massive entire police force. What to do with it? You know, well, if people aren't, you know, making crime, then, you know, we need to bring some more criminals in, or there's no point having police. You know, it is faulty towers in a way, because if they would have, the problem is, if it would have been equality from the start, then they would have had to negotiate with people and be agreeable. They don't want to, be negotiable and agree with people. Which is like, we're agreeable, we're negotiable. No, you're negotiable to other millionaires and billionaires. Barons and lords are negotiable to each other, but not us. Within their peerage, they're negotiable. But when the workforce, kick off, then, they get the police out, It's funny because they negotiate with each other with handshakes, but with the rest of the public, they negotiate using their police force, right? So, but why would they need to do that? And why would we need to, get any people together to even necessitate having a demonstration anyway? No, they don't. They're not negotiable. They're negotiable with their peerage, what they call their equals. They're not negotiable with a workforce because the best thing that everyone could do is not actually be locked down by force or locked down by a virus or locked down by the fear or whatever. The best thing that everyone could do is just go on strike, and just stay at home. That is the best thing. What the miners did, go on strike, but then you got those, scabs who were carrying on going in. The best thing that everyone could do in this country is just stay at home and refuse to work for, a while. But I don't think that people will do that because, look at the vote. No one's voting now. But if you look at the voting figures, like for Lewisham, then you figure out that if you work out, the population of the country and you narrow it down into a jury worth of people, only one or two of them have an opinion or a strong opinion. And it seems to me like those 2 out of 12 people, 2 of them are both opposed to each other and fighting, which means everyone else is just like, yeah, whatever. The problem is that out of those 2 people that's fighting, the government elite want to obliterate and wipe out the person who's opposing them, right? So then there's no opposition. And so they can have, the rest of the population just going whatever to, the winner. If the problem is that person who's standing up to them, if they just joined the rest and said, yeah, whatever, then we would all be a pushover, right? So it's the equivalent of those 2 opposing forces. They want to get rid of their opposition, which is they're using the police force, but the representation of the rest of the people who form the rest of it, who aren't turning up to vote now, is really because if they were so opposed to them, they would actually, at least vote against them or something. But I think that everyone is caught under the spell of the enterprise of the, corporate. Everyone, they've got people too busy, with their face in the trough, in sticking in the Odeon or watching a football match or watching whatever it is, Jeremy Vine or whatever, distracted. Even winding people up over it. That's entertainment now, sticking Vine on radio in the morning and winding people up. Being the devil's advocate, everyone loves 20 mile an hour speed limits. No, they don't. And everyone's headbutting the steering wheel, driving people berserk by ridiculous ringing shows, just literally throwing more fuel on the fire. The ultimate wind up over it all. Even that's entertainment. Whatever they can throw at you, Graham Norton, pull a lever out of the chair, whatever it is. So, I don't think we need any police at all whatsoever. What we need is humans who are properly educated through school, but not by force, not by all these weird woke agendas or anything, just normal common sense morals and things. I remember growing up, but maybe those morals actually are the means and methods by which they get us all to be agreeable and consensual to everything they're doing. Like I used to like the end of the He-Man cartoon when it used to have the moral at the end, right? But what you realise is that these people don't have any morals. This Rockefeller and Rothschild and Sunak and people like that, they're breaking the law left, right and centre in government. They break law for breakfast. They live and breathe corruption. They're making all these laws that they aren't keeping them. It's like career criminals. And I think that's why a large number of people now, through the ability to communicate, are forming this, what we call this opposition, which is the equivalent out of the 12 jury people. One of them is, pro-dominate everyone, and the other one is what's standing up to them. And what we're facing now is, if they don't take their opposition out, they want to get rid of their opponent. That is for sure. So everyone else will be placid. And that's where we're at now. So we're in a wrestling match with the dominatrixes, basically. And, once they've taken us out, then they've got free reign. There will be no opposition. And everyone will just do as they say, which is their ultimate goal. They don't like things like Stonehenge. They can't stand Stonehenge, like when everyone just turns up. Freedom, liberty, people making their own rules up or figuring things out for themselves. They like waiters. They like, a restaurant with weighted service. They like bartenders. They like coffee baristas. They like, Royal Mail, people delivering their things for them. This is the way they've done it. They don't, Sunak says he likes negotiating. You don't negotiate with a valet. You don't negotiate with Royal Mail. He doesn't like negotiating. He likes negotiating with his equals in business deals so they can work out how much money they're going to strip off us all and what they're going to do with all the power and money they've taken from us, because apparently they know better. They don't like negotiating. If Sunak he was reasonable and liked negotiating, then, he should go to Stonehenge, and try to score some weed. And bargain on that. And I don't even smoke weed. I don't like it, but I ain't stopping anyone else from doing it. They really don't like spontaneity, initiative, creativity, improvisation. You don't improvise a monorail, right? You don't improvise a quartz watch. You don't improvise a Porsche 911. It's a machine. It's made to do something until you chuck it in the landfill and then you make something else in your Department of Innovation and Technology. If they ever invented, the thing is, they're trying to invent, we'll make the machine so it's like it grows like a human. They don't want it to grow and think like a human. They're trying to get humans to be machines and do what they want them to do, while at the same time, they're trying to get machines to, why isn't it growing? Why doesn't it change? Why doesn't it do something with itself? Why does it come up with its own ideas? It's like the ultimate contradiction. I really actually don't think that they know what they're doing, to be honest. They put a good facade on though. They talk the business, but you can have you can sell all the records in the world and go platinum them, but when they end up on a C90 landfill, then it's another one bites the dust. This is the problem with these people. I don't actually think they know what they want, to be honest. But the one thing's for sure, they like waiters bringing them cocktail drinks when they're in the Bahamas, sat on the fucking beach. And they really like sitting in a restaurant, talking with their peers weighted meals, what their plans are going to be for the next innovation and technology. That's the problem. They don't like actually just turning up somewhere and not knowing anyone and not having any rules and having to kind of figure it out for themselves. When everything runs like clockwork, it would be all right if we could get some kind of grip or restraint on their imaginations, but I don't really think they have an imagination. That they're trying to make AI. They're trying to get machines to come up with ideas. If no one on the face of this planet who was short of ideas ever needed a machine to come up with ideas, that is the problem with these people. And there were people figuring out and calculating the circumference of the planet and building Stonehenge, while before they were even, before they even, built a chariot, So we need to get a grip on these people. I don't know how, because apparently you can't. It's illegal to get a grip on them unless you go in the ballot box. But maybe the people who don't vote have got the best idea. But are they all addicted to their products? Are they all lost? Are the last final people the people who are actually trying to oppose? That's the question. But as for the police, it is a political party. It doesn't represent the people. It claims that it does, but I don't think that it does. Part of its work is supposedly catching bad people or naughty people. But, why do we have bad people? If put it this way, for the whole of the police force around the whole country, all of the resources, money put into it, if there was the same amount of personnel and money that was dedicated every day of the week to figuring out, why, I don't think we've got as many resources and persons employed to figure out and solve why people are committing crimes than we've got to go after people who are committing crimes and put them through the justice system. Put it that way. There are people in universities, a few charities and non-profits, but if we had as many people, right, investigating, talking to people and working with people, why they're doing the crime and how to stop it, there wouldn't be any problems. Unfortunately, we've got, probably, how many students are studying, psychology or whatever, probably less than there are, police force, we've got this, it's almost like, the wind's blowing leaves everywhere and they've got a hell of a lot of people sweeping up leaves and into black bin bags and putting them in bins just as more and more leaves are getting blown around, right? How do you stop the leaves getting blown around? Oh, it's the wind, right? When they could have just been building a wind barrier. But I'm not saying, build a wall like they are in South America, in Mexico or whatever. But, it's they're not. It's almost like people picking up leaves and sweeping leaves. It's the police effectively is like someone walking around with one of those stupid things when they blow. They got that stupid thing, they blow the leaves around, and then you're like, what the fuck's that guy doing? He just walks around the drive blowing leaves, and then he walks and they just all blow back again or whatever. That is effectively what the police are doing, right? And actually, apparently all these leaves are coming from all these immigrants coming over on the ships, if we had as many people focusing on, where the problems are coming from and how, but, supposedly the government are going to be working that out, but I don't think they are. I think the government are the ones who are shaking the trees, to get the fruit off. and all the leaves are coming off at the same time, and they haven't figured out, like, stop shaking the trees, and the leaves will stop coming off. So